Hey guys, just want to spend some time with you today to go over our the information that we need to cover for our athletic staff meeting for the spring of 2024. It's really difficult to get everybody here at the same time, and so I thought it would be best for me to just go through the agenda, record this, and then give you an opportunity to save this and go back and reference it as you need to. But I will send you the agenda for this meeting so that you can follow along. And also, there will be something at the end that you need to do. So if you could please just let's take our time and go through this. This will be the only meeting that we have all spring. And so let's get started. The first issue, the first item is your job description and your coaching agreement. Believe it or not, I never knew how much I got paid or when I got paid. So I think it's important to give you both your job description and your coaching agreement. Your coaching agreement and job description will be shared with you electronically. You can sign those with a digital signature, or you can print those, sign them, and then upload them to your Google folder. Please keep in mind that we do have an audit for all sports seasons, and Coach Daryl Nance, our district athletic director, does have access to your Google folder, and this is what he expects to be in there. Your coaching agreement, your job description, your certificates for your videos from NFHS Learn, a current CPR AED card. You know that those things are 2 years, last for 2 years. And then you don't necessarily have to worry about the certificates for the Greenville County videos, as those are reported electronically. But without having all of these items in your Google folder, you will not be able to get paid until those things are completed. One of the other things that you'll see is the 14 legal duties of a coach. I'm not going to read these to you, but I do think it's important for you to look at these just so you know the rules of the game. And if you know what the rules of the game are, then you'll try your best to meet those expectations. Please take just a few minutes and go over all of these, as we will cover most of them, if not all of them specifically, in today's agenda. Planet HS, you know, we have switched from the folder system to now an electronic system. All head coaches will receive a daily report that will list every student athlete that plays sports here at Woodmont, and they will be in one of 3 categories. They will be complete, they will be incomplete, or they will be disapproved. So please make sure that you keep up with this daily report. Only those kids that are listed on the daily report as cleared may participate. Now, one of the things that we've learned from the winter sports season, a lot of coaches did not have a deadline for kids to upload and complete the Planet HS process. And so when there's no incentive to get Planet HS completed and the kids are allowed to practice, the kids go weeks without putting their documents into Planet HS. So until they have completed Planet HS, and even if they walk up to with their hard copies of their documents in hand, they are not eligible to participate until they get everything in Planet HS and that process is completed. Planet HS, the physical must be on or after April 1st. The other forms that are included in Planet HS are the parent permission form, the concussion form, the Steadman Hawkins consent to treat form, and their birth certificate. Of these documents, page 2 of the physical and the birth certificate are the only 2 that have to be uploaded. All of the others can be signed electronically. All of the others can be checked electronically. And it certainly makes it a lot easier when they do that. So when a kid uploads their paperwork, it's sent to me or Miss Ruth Aiken. Sometimes we deny their paperwork because they send the wrong copy or it's the wrong date. And so if that happens, just know that there is a specific reason the kid is missing something for that piece of paper to be denied. Once they complete Planet HS, they are clear to practice, and only then are they clear to practice. Coaching requirements. I hope we've done a good job with this. We've gotten out in front of this. I've created everybody a Google folder. Every coach in their Google folder must have certificates of completion for the concussion, sudden cardiac arrest, heat illness, protection from abuse, and you must have a valid CPR AED card. All of those things must be uploaded into your folder. Also, if you're an adjunct head coach, you have to take the fundamentals of coaching class on NFHS Learn. You have to take that one time and one time only, but that is required for all adjunct head coaches. An adjunct is a coach that is not a teacher in the building. Also, all coaches must watch the required safety videos from the Greenville County School District. There are 12 of these. I have been told that some people are having issues getting the active shooter course. But if you notice there, you would log into the GCS portal. Your username is your employee number and your password is the last 4 digits of your social. They keep up with this electronically, and your first paycheck will not be cut until those videos are watched. Fundraising. A lot of our teams require and/or they have to, in order to survive, they have to do some type of fundraising. If you coach a sport where there is no ticket revenue, we do not sell tickets for your games or your matches, you're going to have to do some type of fundraising. The first type of fundraising I would do is ask every family member in the tennis team or the cross country team or golf. I would ask every family to please join the Booster Club. That's a start. Notice that if you do a fundraiser, you have to communicate with me in advance. You have to send a fundraiser request form 2 weeks prior to the activity. And I hope that you realize the purpose of this form is to create a paper trail to protect you. We have 2 types of fundraisers. Type 1 is where the money goes into your school account. If you use a fundraiser funds from a fundraiser for your school account, you, the head coach, must check out a receipt book. You must receipt money on a daily basis, and that money should be turned in to Miss Duncan by 3 o'clock, and you cannot hold that money overnight. I think for all of our coaches, the Booster Club account is the way to go with fundraisers because you as the coach do not have to touch any money. Whoever your parent is, your parent liaison for the Booster Club would collect that money on a daily basis. That liaison would then submit that money to the treasurer of the Booster Club. That money would be deposited and it would be earmarked in your account. If you go through the hassle of doing a fundraiser, you determine how to spend the money, not me. But we still have a process and we still have to get purchase orders and we still have to submit a Booster Club request form just so that we protect you and we know that everybody's on the same page. Communication. Please respond to any and all communication, whether it's electronic or a phone call, voice message, within 24 hours. Please make sure that you check the Wildcat Weekly. I send that out every Monday. And on Monday, I ask that you check your team's events for the following week and send me any corrections as soon as possible. On Friday, that version or that edition of the weekly goes live to Mr. Foster. He puts it in his weekly newsletter. And on Sunday, it is posted to all 3 of our social media pages. My expectation is for you to check this thoroughly on Monday. And I hope you realize it does become a mess if you don't check it on Monday. We go live with it, and then you let me know that there's a mistake. Please make sure to check this on Monday and communicate as soon as possible if there's something that needs to be changed. Consider doing a weekly newsletter for your team. You cannot over-communicate enough. And once again, if you tell your parents that your practices are going to be over at 6:30, end your practice at 6:30. Please don't tell them 6:30 and then let the kids out until 7:15. The Wildcat Weekly is our Bible. And so please, I cannot overemphasize enough how important it is to our program to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Also, you should protect your own cell phone numbers. I would never give parents of my kids on my team my cell phone number. I would never give kids my cell phone number. I can't begin to tell you how many times a coach calls me upset because a parent has reached out to them after a win on their cell phone number because their kid didn't get to play. I recommend using Remind 101 or Sports U. Those are one-way methods of communication. A parent should never be texting you to complain about anything. If they want to complain, they can call your office number, send an email, reach out to me, but they should never have your cell phone number. Also, please make sure that we understand we have to streamline our communication. Just today, I had 2 assistant coaches from the same team send me the same piece of information that the head coach sent me 15 minutes later. Assistant coaches, please communicate to your head coach. Head coach communicates to the AD communicates to the principal, and the AD communicates to the South Carolina High School League. I promise you, Mr. Foster is going to read my email and he is going to respond. I promise you, the South Carolina High School League is going to respond to my email and my communication quicker than they would because they may assume that you're a parent of a kid that's calling to complain. Our coaches should never reach out to the high school league unless they are on a conference call with me in the office. Rules meeting, we talked about that. Unfortunately for the spring, your rules meeting was at Malden High School and they did not have an online option. Please keep in mind that you can attend those rule meetings at the end of the summer at the Coaches Clinic in Greenville. Hopefully next year, our spring sports will have an online version of the rules meeting. For pictures and senior banners, we use one company and one company only. That is Ohana Sports Photography. Ms. Neesmith will be working with you to get a date as soon as possible once your teams are determined so that we can have a day to take all of our senior banner pictures. Senior banners should be purchased by each athlete, and if all of your seniors cannot afford a banner, we need to have a discussion. If we have 5 seniors in baseball and only 4 of them have a banner and 1 of them can't afford it, then we need to do right by him. But Mr. Dan Burgess will not print any of those pictures or banners until they are paid. You do not have to deal with anything other than showing up for your picture day. The parents order their pictures online and the pictures are delivered to them, and he does remarkable work. Parking, you know that there's a fire lane behind the building. Students should not park behind the building. They should park in the upper student lot. We fixed the gate situation to the gate in the stadium that trapped people in the back. We now have a walkway from the back to the front. Students should park in the upper lot and come down the stairs and around the walkway, or park in the lower student lot and walk down the gravel road. And the reason why students should not park behind the building, in case we have an emergency medical situation, we want to make sure emergency medical vehicles have access to the kid that's injured. Please make sure that you have a location, specific location for your kids that are not car riders or car drivers. These kids will be middle school kids or 9th and 10th graders. Those that do not drive, we do not simply pin a $20 on their chest and wish them the best of luck. There should be a specific location in the front of the school or in the lower parking lot where a coach is with those kids and he remains there until all kids are picked up. Please do not have your pickup location in the back of the building. It will be a hot mess behind the building on some nights when we have multiple events going on at the same time. Once you determine your roster, every kid must pay $33 for athletic insurance. A kid must pay his athletic insurance before he is put on an eligibility sheet. High school students can go to the Woodmont High School webpage click on the My School Bucks button and pay electronically, and they will get an email copy of their receipt. If you have middle schoolers on your team and they play on a high school team, they have to also pay athletic insurance. If they have not played a middle school sport prior this season, their amount is $33. They do not have access to My School Bucks, so they have to bring cash in the correct amount or a check made out to Woodmont High School, and you get that money and those checks to Coach Neesmith, and she is nice enough to receipt all of that insurance money for us. And if you have a student that is a multi-sport athlete and they have paid athletic insurance in the fall, they are good for the spring. They do not have to pay it multiple times. Please communicate with your parents at your parent meeting that this is just a secondary policy. It only goes into effect after the primary policy has paid in full. Transfers are one of our biggest issues, especially if you have middle school kids in your program. If a middle school kid is on special permission to Woodmont Middle or Ralph Chandler, they cannot play at Woodmont High School. Middle school students can only play on high school teams for the school where they live. Also, if a 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th grader attended a different school last year, they are considered a transfer and are not eligible until we prove that they had a bona fide change of address. Brazier students can play, homeschool students can play, but please make sure that you know that there is an application for both homeschool and charter school. They must provide us with a proof of residence that they live in our attendance zone. They must provide us with a copy of their first semester report card, in addition to all of the documentation in Planet HS before they can participate. Please make sure that you have a preseason meeting with your parents. In that meeting, give them the schedule. Talk about your rules, your expectations, your attendance policy, the chain of command. Parents should not talk to coaches after practice. Parents should not talk to coaches after games. If a parent wants to talk to you, please tell them you want a 24-hour rule and that they should send you an email, and after 24 hours, you will reach out to them. We do not talk to parents about playing time, other people's children, or strategy. You are our expert, and if you are approached after a game or after practice, your answer is, "I'm sorry, this is not the appropriate time. Thank you." Because when two adults get into an argument, the students are the one watching, and it'll end up on YouTube if you're not careful. We can also have a spring sports parent night where I talk to all of the parents, and then we break up into different huddle groups by team, and you could go over your attendance policy, your schedule, and anything else. If you would like for me to attend that or put that together, please let me know. If you apply for a job at another school and Woodmont is not where you want to be, please do me the professional courtesy and let me know that that is your intention. There's nothing worse than getting a phone call or an email from another athletic director in our district asking me about a coach that is currently on our staff. If you don't like being at Woodmont, I will try my best to help you, but Woodmont should never be your plan B. If you do happen to collect money, please make sure that that money is collected, receipted, and turned in to Ms. Duncan by 3 o'clock. And know that before you can collect any money, we must have an approved purchase order on file and an approved fundraiser form. Purchase orders is something that we cannot get around. This is a non-negotiable. You as a coach are never allowed to order merchandise from a vendor, ever. Not even if you haven't planned properly, you're in a pinch, you're hoping that you can order it and then submit a Booster Club request and get reimbursed. It doesn't work that way. Step one in the process is you talk to the vendor gives you the quote, you send me a purchase order request with that quote, and please note it takes 1 week to get these turned around. Once I get that purchase order request from you, I make the purchase order, I sign it, I give it to Miss Duncan. She gives it to Mr. Foster for his approval. And once he has signed it, we then have an official PO with an official PO number. I will then provide you and the vendor with a copy of the approved PO number, and then and only then can the merchandise be ordered. Also, if you want to use your Booster Club funds to purchase things, let's say that I want to order 14 sweatshirts for my team, and I've done a fundraiser and that money is in the Booster Club. What I would do is get a quote from First Team Sports and Daniel Assey. I would send Coach Carter, I would send me the quote with a Booster Club request, purchase order request form, and I would make sure that you note that I would like to use my Booster Club funds. I then submit the purchase order. We go through the same process, and the Booster Club writes a check to the school to pay for the merchandise. Our Booster Club does not write checks to First Team Sports on behalf of teams for equipment and merchandise. The Booster Club writes a check to the school. We get the merchandise. Once we confirm that we got the merchandise, we get the invoice. When we get the invoice, Miss Duncan and the school pays the invoice. In other words, you're going to need a purchase order if you use school funds, and you're going to need a purchase order and a Booster Club request form if you are going to use your Booster Club money. You should never allow order any merchandise without those two things. And notice both the Booster Club request form and the purchase order must be pre-approved. And please don't make the mistake of writing a personal check for something and assuming that I am going to approve it simply because you didn't plan properly and you want $400 back because you wrote a personal check. That $400 could easily become your donation to your program. A Booster Club request form, anytime that you use your funds in the Booster Club account, it must be pre-approved, including reimbursements. The Booster Club cuts a check to the school when the purchase order is requested, and the school pays the vendor. Please, if you could, make sure that you talk to your parents about joining the Booster Club, especially if you do not have revenue from ticket funds. But the money that you have in your school account and in your Booster Club account is not your personal funds. Not a penny of it can be spent without my prior approval. And of the thousands of requests that I've received, I can only think of maybe one or two over the last 15 years that I didn't approve immediately, but I did want more information. And once I was more educated on the request, I was able to approve it and push it through. Negligent supervision. Coaches should be the first person in the locker room and the last one out. You should never give your kids your keys. You should never allow kids to come back in the building without an adult. All students should dress in a locker room. Students should never be able to dress in a bathroom on campus unless it is down at the stadium where Coach DeChamps opens those locker rooms and allows student in there to dress. Students cannot use the bathrooms in our main campus. When the bell rings at 3:45, they should come down to the athletic wing, and a coach should be there to let them in. Coach is the first one there. Coach is the last one out. Please make sure when your team takes an away trip, you put the kids in the front and coaches in the back and the front to make sure that we know what's going on. Riding on the front seats of a bus, those days are over. You put a coach in the front, kids behind the first coach, and a coach in the back, and make sure that we do not end up on Fox 21 because of a bad decision on a bus. Students are never allowed in the weight room. Students are never allowed in the gym or the downstairs gym unless a coach is present. Keep in mind that if you join the South Carolina Athletic Coaches Association, They provide you with a $2 million liability insurance, and it covers both teachers in the classroom and coaches out on the field. Practice days, game days. If we have a 6 o'clock lacrosse game, who is supervising our kids from 3:45? We do not allow those kids to stay here after school and roam the building until game time. If you are not going to be here to supervise them, they should go home and come back. Kids should not be at a practice field waiting on a coach to show up. Please make sure that you are with them at all times. If their 2 feet are on this campus, you, the head coach, are responsible to know where they are at all times. Classic example. We have a 6 o'clock baseball game, and at 3:45, the bell rings. At 4:30, we have 10 baseball players that decided not to come home, and they're just going to hang out. And what happens if we have a fire in the building and the fire alarm is pulled? We have no way of knowing who's in the building. So please make sure that you understand, if the kids are on campus, they're your responsibility. At 4:30, CT goes outside to practice or to games. A student should never be sent back in the building by themselves, especially if they are injured. They should come in the building with an adult, and if it's an emergency, contact CT. Make sure at the end of the night, you lock your facility tight. Every gate should be locked. Every bathroom should be locked. Every press box should be locked. Everything should be locked so that a person does not have easy access to our facilities, because then we would be responsible. If you leave a gate open and a kid goes down and hits balls in the batting cage and he takes one off the face and we left the gate unlocked, you, the coach, are the one that's going to get sued. If you have a volunteer, please make sure that I know about them and that they've had a SLED check and that I have communicated with you that they are clear to participate. For our spring sports, you will need volunteers, and you will need to train our volunteers to be our public address announcers and to run the scoreboard. It is my expectation that we have a PA announcer and a scoreboard operator for every varsity home game this spring. For JV, you might only need a clock operator. I'm okay with that. The PA announcers should be professional. They shouldn't be doing shout outs. They shouldn't be recognizing people's birthdays. They shouldn't be saying hello to their family members. They should be professional. They should have a script, and their music should be appropriate. Please make sure that you have a plan to get the trash up in the stands after the games. Either have your team walk through the stands and grab that trash, or if I were you, I would create parent committees and ask them for assistance after games. The head coach is responsible for securing their game field after the contest. I promise you, each morning in the spring, I will take a walk through, and if I find a gate that's unlocked or a building that's unlocked, we have to have that conversation. If you have events in the stadium, all of the gates should be locked, the press box should be locked, concession stands should be locked, the bathroom should be locked, the lights should be cut off, and the flag should be in the ticket booth. It is against common practice to leave a flag up overnight in the dark unless it is illuminated. If you fly an American flag at your game, please make sure your assignments at the end of the night for field cleanup, someone takes that flag down each and every night. Never, ever, ever at Woodmont High School leave that flag up after games. Transportation, students are allowed to drive. If they do drive, you have to have a driving form on record. I do not recommend this, but some of you, this is the only way you can make it. If a coach on our staff does go through the hassle of getting a CDL, I will pay them an additional $500 to their supplement for driving their team. You can also make money driving teams in other sports seasons. Also, if you have to use a district driver, I need to change that. The earliest time that they can show up is 5:30. Imagine you're a district driver, you run your yellow route, you get to the last stop, and that elementary school kid's parent does not meet you, and you have to take them back to the school. If you are using a district driver, please don't start calling me at 5 o'clock. At 5:30, you can call the Donaldson bus office. 5:30 is the earliest they can guarantee arrival if you use a district driver. I know at times like soccer, we'll play boys and girls at the same night. Girls go in the front, coach after the girls, boys in the back, coach in the back. We do not allow our teams to intermingle. We separate them by gender. And please, at the end of the night, make sure that our buses are clean. The bus should be cleaner than when you stepped on it. You never know when Mr. Foster is going to have a group of teachers or a group of board members that he wants to take around and show our district, and he jumps on a minibus and it's filthy. You know his expectation. I know his expectation. Let's pay attention to the details and make sure that our buses are clean. You should have a broom. You should have trash bags. And that should happen each and every night that you return to campus. Please make sure you never allow students to ride in your own personal vehicle. If you have a wreck and that student is injured, that is on your insurance. The school will not cover that. And if you want to require your students to ride home, both to and from away games on a bus, I'm all for it. I think every kid should experience riding a bus with their team after wins and losses. However, if you do have a JV varsity doubleheader, I would recommend, if a kid wants to ride home with their parent and their parent only, that you allow them to do so. The South Carolina Coaches Association, we've already talked about that. If you enter the building after hours, after 4 o'clock on the weekdays or after 5 o'clock, if you come on the weekends, you have to have a code in order to disarm the alarm system. You would let me know in advance that you're going to be in the building. You're going to call security both prior to coming in and after you leave. It's funny, sometimes I get calls from coaches. They're 3 steps in the building. They don't have a code and the alarm is going off, and they've called me on Saturday morning to figure out what they need to do. If you need to go in the building, plan ahead of time, communicate with me in advance, and I'll make sure that I help you do that. Ejections. If a player is ejected, he immediately is removed from the facility. If it's an away game, a coach goes with that player and sits with that player on the bus. If it is at a home game, a coach should bring that player into the main gym. That player should call a parent, and that player should go home. That player should not return for the handshake line. He should not return to the facility until the next day. If a coach is ejected on the road, he goes to the bus for the rest of the event. He does not come back to the ballpark or to the stadium at when the event is over. He stays on the bus until the team arrives and the team goes home. If a coach is ejected at home, you are to leave immediately. Get in your car and leave immediately and not return until the next day. Also, if a player or coach is ejected, I need to know as soon as the game is over, 15 minutes after the game is over, I need to know, because I have to do an ejection report. We do have signing day in May. We do something a little bit different. We do one big signing day in May for all of our student athletes. Feel free, if you have a specific signing day that you want to participate in, you can organize that event with the kids on your team. Feel free to do that if you want to celebrate that child before May. But just know that our department will have a ceremony in May, and it will be awesome. It's my favorite day of the year. The gymnasium is packed, and I anticipate almost 20 kids this year participating in signing day. My policy about the office: if the doors open, come in. If the door is closed, I don't have a open door policy. I have a door open policy. If the door's open, come in. If the door is closed, just know that it's closed for a reason. Please make plans and come back at a different time. Pre-game behavior, we should have no excuses for inappropriate behavior before a game and after a game. I ask, number one, that you have a standard before the game, that your kids stand in attention, that they are being respectful, and that you actually practice the national anthem prior to your first home game. After games, kids should remain in uniform, and they should remain with their uniforms tucked in, and we should win with class and lose with dignity. The worst thing that can happen is the kids watch today, and the kids will do what they do on television, and they'll take their jersey off. And even in basketball this year, we had a kid hit a last-second shot. He thought the game was over. He took his jersey off, and when he did, he found out that there were 4 seconds left, and he got a technical, and the other team got the ball and possession, and we almost lost. Act like we've been there before, and please make sure that we do what's right pregame and postgame. Postgame, coaches, you have 5 minutes to have a meeting with your team. Not 10, not 20, and we're not yelling, we're not screaming, we're not trying to make ourselves feel better because our team played like crap. You have 5 minutes. If we didn't play good, you address, hey, we didn't play good today. We're going to have some work tomorrow. I can't wait to get out here and get started. If you play good, congratulate them. Hey, it's a full body of work. Go wash your uniform, come back, let's do it again. But we should not have extended meetings after games, and especially those meetings in which you are unloading on the kids because all you're doing is giving the parents bullets to shoot you. No coaches should use profanity. Using profanity does not make you a good coach. It is not going to be a part of our program. Tobacco is not going to be a part of our program. If you think being discreet, I can spot a dip from a mile away because I do it myself. You will never see me with tobacco in my mouth, and you certainly would never see me on the sideline or in the dugout using my cell phone unless it's an emergency. No tobacco, no profanity, and we do not use cell phones for casual conversation during practice time. Your practice should be fast-paced. It should be organized. You should have a practice plan prior to the day, and you should get after their butt at practice. And practice is for you to prepare your team. Games are for kids to take what you've taught them and go play. And if you're yelling and screaming at your kids during the game, I'm going to wonder what you've done at practice. Last thing for today, you see our contact numbers, my number, my 2 assistant ADs, Chelsea Neesmith and Scott Mann. At each game, we will have a admin, AIC, and a game manager. Our athletic trainer is Christine Luna. Keep in mind that she cannot leave events in the stadium unless it's an emergency because contact sports in the stadium have first priority. There is no way on this planet that Christine Luna should be the only athletic director at a 5A school with 200 kids. Do your part, help when you can, try to limit the minor nicks and getting ice for shin splints and all of that stuff. Try to be as helpful as you can. In closing, guys, I can't wait. I want some region championships this year. I think that we have a chance to be very competitive across the board. I hope that you're honored to be a coach at Woodmont High School, and I hope that you understand the impact that you're making in the lives of these kids. Enjoy your time. I think it's interesting that Nick Saban and Bill Belichick both won 6 Super Bowls or 6 national championships. Less than a week after they resigned, they were replaced by the Patriots in Alabama. Don't forget your home team. Don't forget your home team. That's it for today. There will be a little link on the bottom of the form that I send to you for you to use to take attendance. And there's also some spots on there if you have any questions. And if always you need to talk, just give me a buzz. All right? Take care. Go get them. Let's go.